Summary of One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. Mr. Avery is very strict about social media and cell phones. He has 5 students in detention because he caught all of them with their phones in their bags in class, even though he has a zero-tolerance policy. All of the students say that the phones were put there by someone else, and some even show Avery their real cell phones to prove it. But Avery doesn't believe them, and she leaves them all to write essays about how social media is bad for American teens. The kids in detention are Addie Prentice, who is the smartest person in the class, Cooper Clay, who is the coolest person in school, Nate McCauley, who is a drug addict and criminal, and Simon Kelleher, who runs About That, the school's hated but widely used talk app. When Simon can't find his water bottle, he pours himself a cup of water from the sinks at the back of the lab. All of the students rush to the window when there's a car accident in the parking lot, and by the time they turn around, Simon has already drunk from his glass and fallen to the floor, having a severe allergic reaction. As the kids and Mr. Avery try to find Simon's AP pen, he is allergic to peanuts. They discover that all of them have been taken, both from Simon's bag and from the nurse's office. Simon writhes and chokes until the police come and take him away. After a few days, Cooper, Addie, Nate, and Bronwyn are all called into the main office while the rest of the students are still dealing with Simon's death. A police officer says Simon's analysis shows that he ate a lot of peanut oil right before he died. The police officer asks the 4 students if any of them have ever had a problem with Simon or his app. All 4 of them say they have never been on it. Each of the 4 students worries about their own secrets in their own way. Cooper doesn't care about his lover Keely and spends all of his time writing an unknown person. Addie has a hard time with her vain mother and controlling boyfriend Jake. Nate's whole life is spent taking care of his alcoholic father. All 4 students are called to the police station and told separately that Simon had written about that post just before he died that told secrets about each of them. It is said that Bronwyn stole tests from a teacher's Google Drive, that Nate is selling drugs, that Cooper is using steroids to improve his baseball game, and that Addie cheated on her boyfriend with a student called TJ. All 4 of the students are now thought to have killed Simon, so their secrets aren't safe. Bronwyn has to tell her parents the truth. Nate texts all of his sources to say he's ending all business with them. Addie tells Jake she cheated on him, and he breaks up with her. But the story about Cooper is making him confused, and it's not true. He's glad Simon didn't tell him his real secret. At the same time, Nate and Bronwyn start talking to each other behind each other's backs, even though they couldn't be more different. Tomorrow, there is chaos in the canteen because of a fake post on a new blog called About This that claims to be written by Simon's killer and gives away the secrets that were kept in the unreleased about that post. Addie, Cooper, Bronwyn, and Nate are called to the office by a loudspeaker. Their Director Gupta, gives them the chance to talk about what's going on in a safe space. They don't say anything and just go back to class with a sad face. Bronwyn and her sister Maeve go to the library that weekend. Maeve has figured out how to use public computers to hack into Simon's old app. There is a protected file in the queue, and Simon's username is linked to some strange posts on the 4chan website. A newspaper story the next morning confirms that Bronwyn, Cooper, Addie, and Nate, the Bayview 4, are all persons of interest in the case. The news starts to follow the 4 students around, and Nate and Bronwyn try to shield each other from the attention of the media as they leave school one day. They have a crush on each other even though agents have told them to stay away from each other, as well as Addie and Cooper. Janae is a goth girl who used to be close with Simon but now spends her days crying in the bathroom. Addie makes friends with her after her famous group of friends turns their backs on her after the cheating scandal. Maeve and Bronwyn keep looking into it and find that Simon spent a lot of time on sites that praised gun violence. Simon even said that he supported people who killed students at school. Cooper and Keely break up as more and more big news sites start to write about the Bayview 4. Investigators find a comment on one of Simon's old About That posts that says, "Fuck off and die, Simon." The post was a mean-spirited attack on Maeve's drunken behavior at a party. The reply was written by Bronwyn, who is now being looked at more closely. Cooper has to switch clothes and hats with his friends to avoid being followed by the news teams. He gets away from them and drives to San Diego, where he meets Chris, his male lover. Bronwyn and Nate kiss for the first time, letting each other know how strongly they feel about each other. Bronwyn says she doesn't trust Janae, but Addie keeps trying to be friends with her, even though other girls in class are turning against her. Cooper is called to the police station one night. When he meets with his lawyer and an investigator, the investigator tells him that the cops have finally decrypted the stored file on About That. It has a post about Cooper's sexuality. Cooper is now a more significant person of interest than the others, according to the police, since it looks like someone changed the posts and made sure Simon wouldn't be around to change them back. Cooper tells his parents he is gay, even though he knows the secret will get out. Sure enough, a few days later, the About This blog tells the school about Cooper's secret, and Nate is the only one who stands up for him. Bronwyn is so proud of Nate that she kisses him in front of the whole school. Addie invites Cooper to join them at lunch, and that's when the murder club finally forms a group. After Cooper's arrest, the media's coverage starts to change. Many well-known reporters, such as Mikhail Powers, say that the investigation has been unfairly focused on the Bayview Four and has now invaded their private lives without any proof that they are guilty. In the morning, Maeve calls Bronwyn downstairs to tell her that Nate has been arrested for the murder. As Bronwyn tries to get Nate's mother to meet a local pro bono lawyer named Eli Kleinfelter, who can better represent Nate than a public defender, it turns out that Nate's school got a tip that he had drugs in his locker. When they searched it, they didn't find any drugs, but they did find a bag with the nurse's EpiPens. Bronwyn really wants to know the truth because she thinks Nate has been set up. Cooper and Addie are glad to be off the hook and out of the spotlight, but they agree to help Bronwyn keep looking for the answer. The murder club is reading through the About This posts when they come across an interesting fact that none of them can explain. Only Addie knows what it means because she told Jake about it in passing months ago. Cooper finds one of the cars that was in the accident in the parking lot the day Simon was killed with the help of his friend Luis. It belongs to Sam Barron, a student at a different high school. When Bronwyn talks to the student, he tells her that a Bayview student paid him $1,000 to make up a car accident. Bronwyn shows him a picture of Jake and asks if Jake paid him off. Sam tells her in a serious tone that Simon Kelleher paid him. Every week, the murder club gets together at a coffee shop to talk about what they've learned. Their friend Chris, Cooper's boyfriend, comes with them, and his outsider view helps them make sense of some strange details. He says that Simon killed himself and that Jake is just an accomplice. Addie is upset about this claim, but even after a few days, she still thinks Jake is involved. He agrees to take her to Janae's house. When Janae says she has massively fucked up, she gets a stack of papers from her bedroom. These are Simon's declaration, which describes his plan to shake up his school in a way that no other mass killer in America has and bring 4 people down with him in a way that will never be forgotten. Janae says that Simon planned his own death and got Cooper, Bronwyn, and Nate, all of whom he hated for different reasons, to go down with him. Simon had always wanted to be famous but was turned down by the popular crowd every time. At a party, Jake learned an embarrassing secret about Simon. Simon fixed the prom court in his favor to get more attention. Jake then asked to get involved. He already knew Addie was cheating on him, so he wanted to bring Addie down too. The proof found in Nate's locker was set up by Janae. She was meant to blame Addie for everything, but Addie had been so nice to her, she couldn't do it. The doorbell rings right then. It's Jake, who Janae says often comes by to try to get her to keep quiet about their plan, which makes Janae feel even worse. Addie tells Janae to let Jake in and act like nothing is wrong. She will record their talk from the next room and then she and Janae will show the proof to the police. But while Addie is recording Jake, her phone rings with a note. Jake is furious and chases Addie out of Janae's house and into the trees behind it. There, he grabs her, hits her head on a rock, and tries to choke her to death. At the very last second, Cooper saves her and gets her and Janae away from Jake. After Nate is let out of jail, he hears that the rest of the murder club has been working hard to clear his name. He doesn't think he deserves their help, so he withdraws into himself. Jake is locked up and charged with many crimes, while Cooper becomes a national star and is confused by how the media loves and hates him at the same time. When Addie breaks her head, she makes a good recovery and moves in with her sister Ashton to get away from her vain mother and start over. Nate has been ignoring Bronwyn since he got out of jail. When she tells him she still wants to be with him, he says they're too different and that their feelings for each other were only temporary. After 3 months, Bronwyn plays in a high school spotlight show at the San Diego Symphony. All of her old and new friends are there, and she does a great job. She is surprised to see Nate arrive on his motorbike after the performance. He tells her that he sneaked into the performance and watched it. Addie pushed him to say sorry to Bronwyn for thinking she would be better off without him. Nate advises that they start the process of healing their friendship, despite the fact that Bronwyn warns him that things can't just go back to the way they once were. Bronwyn accepts Nate's offer to a movie and smiles for the first time in months after accepting the invitation.
About the author. Karen M. McManus lives and writes in Massachusetts, where she got a BA from Holy Cross and an MA in journalism from Northeastern University. She knows how to write fake news stories for her thrillers and puzzles because she used to be a reporter. After trying her hand at writing futuristic fiction based on the Hunger Games, McManus found her voice when she chose to do a serious take on The Breakfast Club set in the present day. She wrote One of Us is Lying in just 2 months, and it went straight to the top of the New York Times bestsellers list as soon as it came out. Her second book, Two Can Keep a Secret, came out in 2019.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.